Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So today, let us spend some time orienting ourselves for preparation of the General Studies Paper 4. I am holding this small session so that we can have a discussion on the syllabus of the paper. Very briefly, we'll touch upon, see what are the challenges in organizing the syllabus, and also discuss that why we not only need to prepare the keywords that are given in the syllabus, but like constitutional morality, we have to go beyond what is in the syllabus, see what questions the commission has asked, and also prepare ourselves for the prospective questions. So if you see the syllabus, a lot of students have this concern and they always ask that, sir, when we make notes for General Studies Paper 4, it becomes a little disorganized. Now, the reason it is disorganized is not because the reason how this paper has been finished. So when this paper was introduced, if you see, it was taken from three parts. One was from philosophy, where you have the first topic, ethics and human interface. Part of the syllabus was taken from psychology, and yet another part was taken from public administration. So all these three options, parts of the syllabus were taken, and they were made into the syllabus for the ethics paper or General Studies Paper 4. For example, if you see, there are 8 topics in the GS4 syllabus. If you see, you go by what is the letter, the paper will include questions to test the candidate attitude and approach to issues related to integrity, probity in public life, and the problem-solving approach to various issues and conflicts faced by him. So the word conflict is given in the syllabus in the beginning itself. Conflicts faced by him in dealing with the society. Questions may utilize the case study approach to determine these aspects. The following broad areas will be covered. So if you see, for example, topic number 1 itself, we have lessons from the lives and teachings of great leaders, reformers, and administrators. And if you see, the same or similar topic is repeated in topic 5, contributions of moral thinkers and philosophers from India and the world. Now, sometimes it becomes very difficult to clearly delineate great reformers and administrators, because some of them will also be some sort of philosophers, or they will also be moral thinkers. Or for example, if you see, the syllabus says determinants and consequences of ethics. One of the determinants of ethics is also laws and rules and regulation. Conscience is also one of the determinants, or so-called the sources of ethics. So here, while it is restricted to the common public, if you see here, in this case, it is specialized with respect to civil servants. But the point is that when we study this topic, law, the role of law, or the role of conscience in shaping or determining ethics, then there is always a mix-up. So sometimes when we study this, it is not possible to exclude the intermingling of these topics. For example, respect to laws, rules and regulation, how they will be source of ethics to a public servant, there also variations can be there. For example, laws, rules and regulation as a guide for ethics to civil servants, we have to explore several dimensions, such as civil servants during colonial times and civil servants in the post-independent phase of India, where we have a democratic leadership and a popular government. Or for example, if you see foundational values of civil service, it is difficult to delineate from public service values, because what are foundational values of civil services will also overlap with the public service values. What happens is, if we don't see it, then sometimes we get surprised in the paper, and it also creates a lot of confusion. When we'll be doing the Ethics Plus classes, that will start from Tuesday, 9th of June, we'll make sure that such confusions are done away with, and we will reorganize and reorient the syllabus such that A, you do not miss on any topic, and B, you are able to cover the topic from the perspective that is useful for both part A as well as part B. I'll show it to you. GS4 syllabus. So why prepare beyond the stated syllabus? So I often use the word that there is what is called, the commission has a hidden syllabus. Some people use it, but I use the word more implied syllabus. That we have to go beyond what is given in the letter of the syllabus, and we have to apply what is implied in the syllabus. So for example, the syllabus is not determined by what is given. There are 8 topics that are given, but the syllabus cannot only be determined by it. Otherwise, every time we will have surprise. You'll always be surprised with respect to the question paper. The commission is known to be surprising and unpredictable, but then our effort should be to make it as objective as possible, as predictable as possible, and our answers as objective as possible. So the syllabus is determined by first what is given in the syllabus. The second aspect of the syllabus is by what is asked. So if a commission has asked a question, then from that point onwards, it becomes a part of the syllabus. We have to have this understanding when it comes to the civil services mains examination. And the third and most aspect, which is sometimes most overlooked by people who don't read standard books, who are just using Google search to prepare for topics, and they don't do, for example, those who do not take any courses, or they don't even refer to any books that have been written on the topic, so that they will be exploring what are the prospective topics or key debates that exist. So in such case, what can be asked is completely ignored. So every time a new question comes, there is 2 challenges. One is that when the new question will come, then there will be surprise that I do not know why this question came. Second is that an extrapolation of what is asked itself can tell us what is the next question that the commission is going to ask. Right. And sometimes, more often than not, we see that what is asked in part A is reflected in part B. Sometimes what is asked in the case studies, we get a question in part A. So just for example, you just see that what is given in the syllabus. So one type of question, there are different kinds of questions that are asked. One is that what is given in the syllabus, that is direct keyword based question. So for example, you can take a look at this, that distinguish between code of conduct and code of ethics. An old question, but this question is asked way back in 2019. Now code of conduct and code of ethics is given. If you see this, it is directly given in the syllabus itself. Code of ethics and code of conduct. This is taken from the Second Administrative Reforms Commission, which has recommended a code of ethics beyond the code of conduct. All right. Or for example, if you see this, main components of emotional intelligence. So this is directly a theoretical question where the components of emotional intelligence are asked. Usually it is expected that the commission will stick to asking applied questions, but sometimes such theoretical questions are asked, and it is directly from the syllabus itself. So sometimes, for example, emotional intelligence, if you see the concepts, you can directly answer it from here. Or a question on conscience, a reliable guide in decision making. Conscience as a source of ethical guidance has already been a part of the syllabus. Then 2020, effective utilization of public funds, or even 2025, if you see this year. 2025, there is a question on utilization, misutilization of public funds. So these are what I call direct questions. But then there are other types of questions, such as what is asked in the exam, that also defines the syllabus. So here PYQs are guiding light. Now most of us see that PYQs, you have to keep doing the PYQs. But increasingly, if you see, especially in the last year's paper, or even generally the trend is that always new areas are being explored. So for example, PYQs, when they are the guiding light, then we see there is an application of what is given in the syllabus. So one part is from the keyword in the syllabus and the other part is application, which requires thinking. We can see an example such as attitude is an important component that goes in the input in the development of human beings. How to build a suitable attitude. So it is asking you to think how to build a suitable attitude needed for public servant. Still, even if you see this topic, then this can suitably form a part of the discussion or the debate that we have on the attitude topic. All right. But also there is another aspect, that is extrapolation of what is asked before. So once the commission has asked, you're saying something? Once the commission has asked a question, it is our job, or it is our duty to think, to laterally think and explore what other questions, similar questions can be framed. And the commission has always given you a hint in this matter. If, for example, if you see this is not paper 4, but you see in 2015, what happens is a question is asked, Mahatma Gandhi and Ambedkar debate, that despite having divergent approaches and strategies. So this is a part of what is called Gandhi-Ambedkar debate. Now what happens is that when we are studying a certain topic, we have to see what is the key debates. Key debates, when I say key debates, I mean to say that it is a part of the discourse. It is a part of the discussion on the topic. And if you're not aware of that discussion or that dimension, then there's a problem. If you see, then 2015 and then in 2023, this question was Gandhi versus Rabindranath Tagore. Now, this question may come as a surprise to some students, but if you see what I believe is in most coaching, at least in ForumIAS, this discussion was covered in the classes. This discussion was always also covered in the answer writing focus group question that year. My point is that why it was covered was not because of a creative imagination, but because when you study Gandhi, then there are several debates. For example, there will be debates around Gandhi, Ambedkar, then there's a debate on Gandhi, Tagore, then there will be a Patel and Nehru debate. So these debates is something that we have to know. If we are not aware of this and we become surprised at the paper, then that's not a good thing. So we need to have a holistic coverage instead of just focusing on the PYQs. As we are seeing that we have to do the PYQs, but that's a starting point or a bare minimum. It is the PYQs are a light into the future as to what is the kind of questions the commission can ask in the future. Some questions that have been asked, such as it is seen that politics and ethics do not go together. Now, when we study the topic 1 ethics, sometimes I see the classes get stretched and some students say that, sir, why are we studying these topics? So, for example, if there is ethics versus politics as a debate, then one is that politics and ethics, this is already asked, but there are other debates that will be asked in the future. So, for example, you can expect a question on ethics versus law, and it has been asked later. If this is 2013, then, for example, in 2016, ethics versus law debate has been asked, that how their approaches differ in guiding the conduct of an individual or the society. This is a part of the debate, so it should not come as a surprise to any of us. Or, for example, ethics versus business. Once it is ethics versus politics, then we have to prepare ethics versus business. If it is not asked, it is a likelihood and it can be asked anytime. There is also a debate on law versus compassion. There is also a debate on ethics versus professional competence, on which their questions have been asked. You can also see this, for example, to make my point, ethics versus politics, again, if you see in next year, it has been asked, young people with ethical conduct are not willing to come forward. This is a debate. Why? The debate is that young people such as you, why do you want to join the civil services? Now, outside of this little aspirant community that we have, if you tell someone you want to become a civil servant, you'll be shocked that a lot of people think that you want to join the civil services for any nefarious gains. But deep inside, in this little aspirant community, we know that a lot of us want to join the civil services so that we can make a change. A lot of us want to join the civil services so that we can help and contribute in the task of nation building. When this question is asked, it is expected that a variation of this question will come, that young people with ethical conduct are hesitant to engage in business. What is the reason? It is a variation of this, but it is a part of the debate on ethics. So if it is ethics versus politics, then there is another discussion on ethics versus business. Or from the previous question, it is often said that politics and ethics do not go together. You can replace it by business and ethics do not go together. It is not possible to be ethical in business, which a lot of people think. So this is something that we have to prepare. I'll give you another example. But why are these questions asked in the first place? One is that the past is a glimpse of the future. If a commission is exploring a topic, it has explored some dimensions. So, and especially in paper 4. So there are other dimensions that exist and we have to explore them. So it is telling us that this is the dimension I've asked. Now you also prepare for other dimensions that have not been asked. Second is that a debate exists. It is an established topic of discussion. It is an established topic of discussion. For example, when you talk of civil service reforms, and let us say you are aware of a topic of civil services reform such as, let us say lateral entry. Then you cannot be ignorant when a question comes that there needs to be more generalist, there needs to be specialization in civil service, and there is a need for more specialists than generalists. All right. Or for example, bringing young people into administration. So it cannot be that you are aware of one dimension and you're not aware of another dimension. Why? So you should not, PYQs are supposed to give us a platform. You should stand on the base of PYQs. You should stand on the base of PYQs. It should not be that this is the PYQ and I don't know anything beyond PYQs. I'm not going to deny that with PYQs, and even if you see MGP and AWFG, then for the past 7-8 years, you will see that we have 300 to 600 students who are in the final list. And if you ask them, you will see that most of them may have done just these two, and they have cleared the exam with flying colors, getting 450, 460, 470 marks. They have not been able to even done a conventional foundation. While it is true, and it is always our effort that we are able to cover all prospective dimensions, the dimensions that have been asked before, plus the dimensions that are expected to be asked. While we have tried to do that, it is always important that we cover these things as well as possible in some classes. So for example, if you see another example, in 2014, the question was, all human beings aspire for happiness. Now this question may come as a surprise. You will say, sir, happiness is not directly. So you have two grievances against this question. Do you agree? What does happiness mean to you? Now you may have a problem that, sir, I don't know. I have written XYZ things on happiness. But even this topic can be explored and a beautiful point can be made. So those of you who are watching this lesson, you can see how happiness has been explored in the free ethics classes that are put on YouTube in ForumIAS channel. You can see that how different dimensions of ethics are explored, or what happiness means, isn't it? So for example, you could, if you do, and you will have to explore those ideas, you will have to brainstorm. So happiness would mean different things to different people. For a soldier, happiness would mean defeating the enemy and bringing victory to his country. For civil services aspirant, happiness would mean clearing the civil services examination and bringing happiness, seeing happiness in the eyes of his parents, isn't it? So it can be role. For a teacher, it may mean seeing his students succeed. For a father, it may mean seeing his children grow into good citizens, isn't it? So therefore, you can write a very simple answer. What is needed is 10th class simplicity, that is to be understood, but richness of ideas. Now, if you ask a person who's older, happiness would mean being able to balance what? His career, his family, isn't it? And his health. Career, family, and health, if you are able to balance, then you have achieved the impossible trinity, isn't it? Or you could say wealth, health, and family, social relations, if you are able to balance. Similarly, some people may give the concept of ikigai, that happiness would mean achieving ikigai. So there are different ideas that can be explored in this, what happiness means to you, isn't it? But the purpose of this discussion is not to say that what happiness means. If you see that in 2014, happiness is asked, then immediately, not immediately so, but in 2020, what we have a question or hatred. Now, if you see, happiness will be covered both as a value, human value, it is a value that is worth chasing, as well as it is a part of emotions under emotional intelligence topic. And in 2020, once happiness is there, we have to prepare another topic. So in 2020, the question is hatred is asked. Hatred is destructive. Once these two things are asked, we have to see what is supposed to be asked. For example, if this is another emotion can be there, such as anger, which has already been asked by the commission, then what is not asked? Envy is not asked. Jealousy is not asked. Guilt is not asked. Guilt is a very powerful feeling, isn't it? Guilt is also a driver of human conduct, what people do. You know, the famous phrase is the Alfred Nobel moment of guilt. Alfred Nobel was the person who invented dynamite. And the newspapers once falsely reported that he had died. And it was written that the merchant of death is dead. So Alfred Nobel felt that this is not how he would want the world to remember him. And he institutionalized the Nobel Prizes. Again, the commission has not asked this in part A. But if you see, for example, this case study. This case study was the first case study, I remember, in 2025, where there is a Vijay and his mother has fallen sick in Kerala while he is working in a disaster-prone area where there has been a cloudburst. Now, when you write these case studies, you can write a very dry case study, that this is the choices and this is what I will do and things. But these studies can be made rich by importing a lot of ideas from paper 1, part A, sorry, not paper 1, part A. So example, what is Vijay? So you need to know what is a duty conflict. If you see the very first slide that we have, there is a word, mention of the word conflict, that the issues and conflicts fade by him. So you will have to know that there are two kinds of conflict. One is conflict of values, and then there will be conflict of interest. Two kinds of conflict. So you cannot be surprised if you suddenly get a question that what is the values at conflict, which is common, but then suddenly there can be a question, what is the conflict of interest? And this is something that we have to prepare for. Conflict of interest will also be a part of what is called dilemmas in government and private institutions, ethical concerns and dilemmas in government. Because the conflict of interest is a serious situation in the public service. And there is also third conflict, that is duty, conflict of duty. What happens when you have conflicting duties? For example, your duty as a son, what is your duty where you have ailing parents and you need to go back to home to take care of them? And your duty as an aspirant, where it is imperative that once you're selected, once you have decided to write this examination, you need to focus only on studies. So sometimes there are duty conflicts, right? So these three kinds of conflicts we have to study. And if you see the last, so there is a duty conflict. His duty towards his mother, who's first, she was sick, she was ill, she was not doing well, and he was busy with his work because there was a cloudburst in his district. And his duty towards the residents of disaster affected district, as a district collector, as a district magistrate, deputy commissioner, as the DC of the district. So he has duty conflicts. In such a case, what is the underlying theme? If he does not perform his duty, if he is not able to perform his duty, then he will have a guilt towards his professional responsibilities. But if he does not perform the last rites of his mother, then he has a powerful emotion, what is called guilt. Now, if you know at least 2, 3, 5 points about guilt as an emotion, then the quality of your answer becomes rich. So we will be discussing all these topics and all the case studies in Ethics Plus classes. And we will try to make sure that we have a good theoretical base so that we are able to score very well in part B of the syllabus. You can see other example. Why you should not just be limited. So we are able to get a lot of questions in the AWFG and MGP is only because we are able to explore a topic. For example, 2020, during the COVID year, we all needed one thing. What is that? Yes, correct. That is positive attitude. So positive attitude is an essential characteristic of a civil servant or a leader, isn't it? But now you have to also prepare what we mean by negative attitude, isn't it? So you have to explore these topics. You may say that, sir, if you see the syllabus in attitude, let's go back to the first slide. So you may say that, sir, it is asked in the syllabus moral attitude and political attitude, so we have to prepare it. But no, you cannot stop there. You can expect very much a question. You can very much expect a question on another thing, that is scientific attitude. It is an implied part of the syllabus. Scientific attitude. You have to prepare this. Otherwise, you are preparing yourself for surprise that, oh, this time they ask again out of the syllabus and scientific attitude I did not prepare. Isn't it? So you have to elaborate on all these things that have been asked. Another example, what do you understand by values and ethics? So values and ethics, in what ways it is important to be ethical? So there is this word, ethical and professionally competent. What does this mean? This means that on one hand, there is the strong tool of morality. We should be moral. On the other hand, it is talking about professional competence, that we are good at what we do. We are professionally competent. We are good in profession. We may not be very moral. So sometimes what happens is it is not possible to find both these qualities in the same person. Now, this is a part of the debate that is there. So the debate is ethics versus professional competence. So this is a 2013 question. The very next year they asked, integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, but knowledge without integrity is dangerous. This, if you carefully look at this question, you will realize that integrity is a moral quality. This itself is simply ethics. It is a reframing of the question. Ethics without knowledge. What is knowledge? Professional knowledge or professional competence. Isn't it the same question that is asked? The answer will be the same. The words have been changed. On this, key debates is ethics versus professional competence. There is debates on ethics versus morality. We have to study these and we have to have a body of knowledge so that we are able to answer any question. And another problem here, sometimes what I feel is the difference between knowing versus writing. So if there is a question on integrity and knowledge, or for example, there is a question on ethics versus professional competence, it is expected, it's a very common thing. I will expect as a examiner professional competence. Competence is that you just express this in a very commonly available diagram. Now, all of you know this diagram, but you are not drawing it. Such as, for example, this quadrant means he's low on ethics as well as low on professional competence. He's good for nothing. This person is, if you see the other one, this person is, this quadrant means high on ethics as well as high on professional competence. He is the most desirable person, but it is very difficult to find. Then there is, this person is high on ethics, but he's low on professional competence. You know, if you draw the graph like this, right? So this is high on ethics, low on professional competence. He's the one we may hire. And then there is low on ethics, but more on high on professional competence. So he's the one who will do maximum damage. He is the person who does maximum harm. Think of Osama bin Laden, trained engineer, a very rich multimillionaire, but lack of ethics, lack of respect for human life. Look what they have been able to do, isn't it? So it is expected that you are able to draw a simple diagram which is almost given in every notes. So this is not just about knowing, it's also your ability to apply it. All right. So this is all. What I want is on Tuesday, we will be, giving you a syllabus broadly so that you are able to see that what are the things that you have to study. The whole purpose of classes will be to give you a boundary, an outer boundary of the syllabus. Not that this is all that the question can be asked from, but our goal will be that within this boundary, we are able to develop a body of knowledge from which we can answer almost any question. We will be having the classes, we have shifted the classes to 2 p.m. to approximately 4:30 to 4:45 p.m. We'll be holding the classes in 4 weeks. We'll be finishing the syllabus. We'll be having the classes 5 or 6 days in a week. And from Tuesday, we'll have the classes. We'll be having 20 classes plus 4. The plan will be shared with you. We'll be having 4 classes if at all we need any buffer. And we'll try to 4 weeks ka time to 9 July hota hai. But we'll try to wind it up by first week of July. And we'll get started. Now, those of you who are preparing for 26 as well as 27, all of you can, even if you're not, you don't have to join the course to attend the first 2 classes. And to make it easy for you, all MGP students of 2026 and 27, they can come and they can join the first class. First class will be a small, rather short class, and I'll be taking up how to handle the case studies. Our objective will be to make it simple for you. Let us simplify case studies. At the same time, let us see how we are able to use content from part A into our case studies. So we'll be solving some case studies and we'll have a short session and we will be building we'll be able to see how to make it simple as well as marks fetching. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday, 2 p.m. in Karol Bagh Offline Center. All right. Yes. Thank you, class.
Forum is starting a residential program and specifically designed for those students who didn't clear prelims earlier. At that moment, I felt that this program is tailor-made for you because what you described in that email, it felt like somebody was describing me.
नहीं सर, मैंने नहीं बनाया, ये मैं क्रेडिट नहीं लूँगा, आपने बनाया है, मैंने उसको गाइड किया है बस. और हर माता पिता करता है ना, कौन नहीं करता है सर, कौन नहीं चाहता है सर.
Fortunately, sir, I cleared prelims and then, sir, the same schedule for mains, FRC4 started at the same place and again I made the same promise. चाहे वो AWFG का टेस्ट हो या SFG का हो या करंट अफेयर्स की क्लास हो, I'll do it. सब कुछ करूँगा जैसा जैसा मुझे बताया जा रहा है. And fortunately it worked again. Then I stayed there for interview also. And fortunately I got the rank.
And before coming to FRC, literally there was a lot of broken confidence. And I thought I would never be able to clear pre. This is the biggest hurdle of my life. But then ever since December, things changed. And I just followed the plan to the hilt. Gave every test, even the open test, all the simulators, the CSAT simulators also. It was for the first time that I cleared the prelims, I cleared the mains, and then I cleared the interview and finally got a job under Government of India. I was a part of FRC1 and FRC4. So I think FRC played an instrumental role in making me what I am today.
So I was scared, very honestly. I think a lot of my motivation for so many things is just a fear of failure. I'm not sure what a therapist or a psychologist might say about that.
मेरा नाम डॉक्टर आकांक्षा सिंह है. मैं गाजीपुर जिले से रहने वाली हूँ। मैं ऐसे पेशे से डॉक्टर हूँ। मैंने MBBS और मास्टर्स कर रखी है। मैं गायनाकोलॉजिस्ट हूँ। ये मेरा सेकंड अटैम्प्ट था जिसमें मेरी 301 रैंक आई है UPSC CSE 2025 में।
So first is a sense of discipline, whether that's SFG or sometimes that I followed in AWFG also for the mains part. A sense of discipline that this is the target for the day. You got to complete your syllabus, immaterial whether you're completing 80%, 70%, 100%, but you have to come up, show up every day and write the test.
Many congratulations to all of you who have cleared the prelims. Let us give them a big hand.
I subscribed to the second level of SFG. I think I told you so. I'd gotten to know about sir from a very close friend, which was honestly like my paradigmatic change, if you will call it, towards prelims preparation came when I heard sir speak on prelims.
.65% of IS toppers under rank 10 and 20 in CSE 2025 final list have been students of Mains Guidance Program MGP by ForumIAS Academy, including rank 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 17, 19. Mains Guidance Program MGP 2026-27. Join Mains Guidance Program, India's most trusted program for mains preparation. To know more about MGP, speak to an IS topper near you or email us at contact@forumias.com.